I moved on to the next step, building on this to compare the business case and the legal case. So after we know that maybe there are some issues with the business case, the legal case, is it the same? Is it worse off? Is it better off? And when we're looking at the alternatives, why maybe get different findings if we do get different findings? So here, the design was similar. I split them into 4 different groups though, and they all saw the same imagery. So all of the imagery across the 4 videos in this next study were similar to the top. So all the videos talked about how great diversity is and how diversity should be valued and inclusion should be valued. Both racial diversity, gender diversity, other types of diversity. However, the rationale behind it and the framing of it was different. So in the business case condition, that was similar to study 1, where they were told about the performance value. The legal case talked about the civil rights law and how civil rights law prohibits discrimination on the basis of these different categories, can be exposed to costly litigation if you don't value diversity and begin to integrate the workplace. So the scripts were similar in terms of how they talk about diversity as being something good, but the rationales were different. I also had a business plus legal combined. They're both important. So that's one, if you would think of a company who has a lawsuit, so they have to have a legal case, but yet they also build on that and talk about the performance value of it as well. And then I had a control condition with no rationale at all. So just saying it's great, we need it, but not giving any reasoning or framing behind it. So findings here. So here, the dark blue is the legal and the light blue is the business case. So here I had them read a scenario where they had to make a promotion decision. There was a racial minority candidate and a white candidate. They were less likely to pick the racial minority candidate when exposed to the business versus the legal. So here we get a bump if we think about inclusion and inclusive behavior when they're exposed to the legal. So at least from that behavioral standpoint, there seems to be some positive benefits of that framing, at least relative to the business. A slight bump over the no rationale as well, but not as much as it wasn't as significant as the bump over the business case. When I looked at the diversity beliefs, which I think is one of the primary mechanisms, are these diversity beliefs. So I'm going to show you this here and then get to my mediation analysis to talk about why I think this is what's driving the effects. So here, when I just asked generally whether they think it's important to strive for diversity, they're much more likely to believe this in those in the legal condition versus the business, the light blue bar. And also, is it the right thing to do morally? So they're more likely to believe that this is a moral issue and that it's important to strive for diversity for moral reasons in the legal condition compared to the business case condition. So overall, we're seeing a bump. I also look at racial attitudes. I'm interested in gender beliefs. This particular study looks at race, but I always look at attitudes and beliefs in these just to see if that's helping drive the effects. And here I found that those exposed to the law were much more likely to acknowledge systemic barriers and systemic discrimination, institutional discrimination when they're exposed to the law. So something about the law is triggering the idea that, okay, we still have some inequality here today versus the business case. I saw on some of your literature saying that training can present the illusion of fairness. That could be part of what's going on here. When you overpush the business case, then it looks like, okay, the organization is already doing so much. They think that these people are doing better. Even the women and racial minorities are doing better. Maybe they aren't as cognizant of some of the barriers as when they're told about human rights law or civil rights law, where then it triggers those beliefs about the inequality that still exists. All right. And it also triggers these moral beliefs. And this is one of the primary findings here is that not only is law more effective, it's more effective because of these moral beliefs that it triggers. So that pretty much so the diversity rationale, the legal rationale led to more inclusive promotion decisions than the business. But that main effect was pretty much washed away once you put in the diversity as moral. So it leads to the moral beliefs which then leads to the more equitable promotion decision. So there's something about, and I didn't show them this post. I'm going to go way back. I didn't show anything like this. Sorry, but I think this may be what's triggered when I mentioned civil rights law, even though I'm talking about lawsuits and compliance and all of that. I think that can trigger, okay, there's still some moral things going on here compared to the business case doesn't trigger any moral beliefs.